Hello! Guess what time it is? It's time for my broadcast. And I usually do the upper room, but today I am not doing the upper room. Today I am doing something else. So when I was out and about, I got this magazine from Rochester, Minnesota. And they had an article in here, and it was about this lady whose name is Kayla, and she's an associate pastor at Peace United Church of Christ. But she wasn't always a pastor. So she kind of talked about how she grew up. I'm not going to read all of that because that would be a lot to read. But, she kind of talked about how she grew up and like how she grew up in the church and she was always, indoctrinated about the church. Well, then she decided that she wanted to go to school, to learn the doctrine. So she went to seminary and, biblical studies, stuff like that. So she said, sometimes the church gets confused. That's her quote. Before college, I was a devoted Christian who read her Bible every day. I unquestionably believed everything taught to me through my local church and the black and white views about right and wrong, heaven and hell, and saved and damned, etc. However, as a religion major at Liberal Arts University, I started the healthy process of questioning and deconstructing the teachings and understandings of religion that I had been raised with. Even though this was a good and necessary process, the experience of it was a difficult test of my faith. A lot of people can go through that, especially when they're studying to dig through the Bible, because as we all know, the Bible is hypocritical. Because we don't always know the order that everything happened. It's not really written in the same order that it's written. Events might have happened, and so by the time somebody heard about the event, they decided to write about it, or something like that, or they saw it when they were there and they had to wait till they came back. I don't know. But it's not in order, so of course it's going to be hypocritical. So even though this was this was a good and necessary process, the experience of it was a difficult test of my faith. There were several years where the only label I felt authentic to call me was an atheist. I valued that the church taught me to love my neighbor as myself, but was confused when the church did not carry out what it taught through actions. The churches I knew did not welcome lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender persons, and this was contradictory to me. For a while, I confused the actions of the church with the mind and will of God. If God did not love all people, then I did not believe in that God. And that's true. God does love everybody. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, what your color is, where you're from, how many crimes you've committed, how many not crimes you've committed. There's nothing that separates us from the love of God. So as a Christian, you're not supposed to accept the behavior that is obviously spoke out against in the Bible. You're not supposed to treat that person any worse than you would somebody else just because they chose to have a certain lifestyle. You're supposed to accept the sinner but not accept the sin. But that doesn't mean that you can bash them and constantly condemn them because you think that they're doing something wrong. Because then you're putting yourself in the position of being judged, which you are not in the position of being judged, because God is the only judge. Jesus is the only judge. And you cannot judge because you know how it goes. If you are judged, you could get judged yourself. And you cannot look at the speck on somebody's eye if you have a plank in yours. You know that. So as a Christian, you cannot just be bashing other people because they choose to be a certain way. So just keep that in mind. So you are supposed to accept them. If God did not love all people, then I did not want to believe in that God. I don't know how I would feel because I've never known anything different than loving God, but I would think that, because it's kind of like when you have a friend and that friend doesn't want to accept a friend that you have, you might not want to be friends with that person. It's a little different when you're kids, but as an adult, you should be a little different than you would if you were a child. But eventually, I came to understand that God does embrace and affirm all persons. Hallelujah. Sometimes the church gets confused. After I sifted through what I had been taught by religion as a young child, I was able to keep what I see to be authentic messages from God and let go of the political agendas the church had created over the years. I say hallelujah. So let me see if that's the end of that article, because there's several in here. Yeah, that's the end of that one. There's another one here that I'm going to read on Monday. So if you want to tune in on Monday. Let's see. I've been talking for like 3 minutes. Holy cow. So that was supposed to take a little bit longer. Maybe I read too fast. So I just think it's really important that you treat people with respect, you know? There are so many people that think that just because they're a Christian, they're not a sinner. And you are most certainly a sinner even if you're a Christian. There's nothing that says, oh, I'm a Christian, so I'm not a sinner. No. And just because we're Christians doesn't mean that we think that we're better than anybody else. But let me tell you this. Sometimes I prefer to be amongst, people that are not Christian than people that are. Sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. Because, like, let's say, okay, let's see. I'm trying to think of an example. What would be an example? I don't know. There's just certain associations. I don't know. I can't think of right now. But I've always been in a kind of a situation where I haven't really been accepted. And I don't know if it's because of my personality. Like, you know, if they don't know that I do this, I think they're more likely to be my friend. But because I do this, and I don't know. I just don't really. And then I don't know. Maybe it's just my personality that they like me, and I have a lot of friends on Google Plus, and I have friends. I have like 2 or 3 friends. I have friends, but I don't have like local friends. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. And finally, I'm at a church now where the pastor is like gung-ho for what I do. Most of the time in my past, the churches, like, I will mention I do this ministry. They'll ask me about my mic, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I use for my videos. And then they say nothing, and I don't know why they don't say anything. Like, they don't want to know anything more about my ministry. As soon as I say that's what it's for, they're like, don't say anything more. So, I don't know. I think the sun moved, because I was not so shiny before. I think the sun moved. Let me put this down just a little bit more. I can't put it down more. Okay, anyway, I'm going to be shiny. So, yeah, but, I just don't even care, because this is what I do, and this is what I like to do. To me, this is really fun. And so, yeah, this is what I like to do. So I just think that sometimes I prefer to be in the company of people that are not Christian. And so what I'm saying is, like, people that are not Christian, some of their behaviors, yeah, I would feel uncomfortable if I was with them. But really, okay, so like their acceptance of people, maybe that's what I'm talking about. Like sometimes people that are Christians, they think that they are so much better than other people that they treat them badly. And maybe that's what I'm trying to say, is that a lot of times people who are not Christian treat people better. So people that are Christian should be like non-Christian, where they treat people nice. Maybe that's what I'm saying. So sometimes that's just the way it is. So there's a lot of things sometimes that we can learn from people that are not Christian. They could teach us a lot about, like, accepting people. I don't know. Maybe people are afraid. Like, they're afraid that if they associate with those people, then they'll start to follow their ways, which I guess is true, but really, you got to be rooted in your beliefs. You know how the saying goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So if you are a dead hard Christian, then you're not gonna falter when you're with other people that are not Christian. You could be an example to them. I mean, that is what Jesus says as well. Don't just hide in your own little circle of friends of Christians, because how are you supposed to minister to anybody if you're not out there with them? I mean, that's why he sends people out to mission trips. That is why, because you're not going to be able to minister to anybody if you just stay in your own little circle bubble. That's just the way it is. You have got to go out there. And so I guess in a way this is what I do here, because on YouTube there's a few people who are preachers. There's a lot of stuff that shouldn't be on YouTube. And so, this is like my mission field is YouTube and Google Plus, because there's a mixture of people that are not Christian and people that are Christian, people that are Muslim, people that are Buddhist. I haven't met any yet. I've met a Muslim, I think, but I haven't really met Buddhists, or at least they haven't said. But, I mean, there's all kinds of people that you can meet on this, and that is where technology can really come in handy. It really can. So, well, I guess today is just going to be a short lesson because I don't want to just keep blah 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 because I need to fill up time. This is supposed to be a 15-minute session. How in the world do I must have read too fast because when I read this, it takes me 15 minutes to read and talk about it. And then this I whipped right through and it's a lot longer. I must have read too fast, so I am sorry. And now that I know that, I will make sure that I don't talk as fast next time. It's the Midwest thing. In the Midwest, we talk really fast. And I have a joke. We talk really fast in the Midwest because it's cold. So, yeah. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. I'm sorry this is so short. Well, actually, it's probably better that it's short. And I hope that you will share this video if you think that it would benefit somebody. And if you don't, then I just hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. All right. Bye-bye.